There's an island with a bit of mystery about it, right in the middle of the Lehigh Valley's hustle and bustle. It's the largest island in the Lehigh River, and one of the few that ever had permanent buildings. But now you can only get there by boat. This island has known the farmer's plow, the jingle of mule bells as they pulled canal boats along its shore, the grind of ice saws, the rattle of trolley cars, and the shrieks of roller coaster riders. Old maps call it by many names: Yulee's Island, Smith Island. Now it is called Island Park. The earliest maps of the island were made in the 1820s by the Lehigh Coal and Navigation Company, which owned the Lehigh River. The LCN built 9 dams that turned the river into a slack water navigation, a series of slow, deep pools behind the dams, connected by the ditches which formed the canal. The slack water pools in the canal sections made up a 46-mile-long waterway. The company's mule-drawn 120-ton canal boats carried the LCN's anthracite coal from Carbon County to Easton, and from there, via the Delaware and Morris canals, to Philadelphia and New York. The towpath switched from the north side of the Lehigh to the south shore at this point, just above Dam Number 8, known as Chain Dam. The boats were hauled or poled across the river here, a dangerous process, despite the chain and wooden barrier at the dam that was supposed to prevent boats from being swept over it. In 1855, the LCN decided to incorporate the island into the navigation. They built a causeway across the narrow stretch of river between Bethlehem Township and the island, and ran a mile-long towpath down the south shore of the island to a wooden and wire rope suspension bridge. The causeway and the change bridge, as it was called, let the mules tow the boats across the river to the south side of the Lehigh. There, they picked up a towpath a quarter-mile long to the guard lock at the entrance of the canal's Section 8. If you look carefully at the far right of this picture of the Change Bridge, you can see a large ice house. Ice harvesting was one of Pennsylvania's biggest industries when it began on the island sometime in the late 1800s. We know very little about ice harvesting on the island. This is the only known photograph. The ice house stood on the south side of the Gut, a large, spring-fed pond whose clear waters made ice that helped satisfy America's growing demands for fresh milk, meat and produce, cold drinks, and ice cream. Ice harvesting lasted only a month or two every year, but required lots of workers. It's likely that this was a job that some boatmen held when the canal was closed for the winter. In 1893, the Easton Transit Company leased Smith Island, except for the towpath and change bridge, from the Lehigh Coal and Navigation. The company hired a local architect to design a park that offered rides, entertainments, and shady refuges from the city heat. They renamed the island Island Park. It cost a nickel to ride the trolley for 4 miles west from Easton and across the narrow channel of the Lehigh on a sweeping trestle to Island Park. From the first day, July 18, 1894, when 3,400 people rode the trolley out, Island Park was a success. One big attraction, all it cost to get into the park was a 10-cent round-trip trolley ticket, a price that yielded a bonanza of riders for Easton Transit. The 10-cent fare meant that thrifty Eastonians could pack a picnic lunch and have a full day's free respite from the summer heat under the tall trees in the park. Children could play on the swings, sliding boards, sandbox, and wading pool. The trolley company used the low price of admission to make the park a destination for hundreds of groups. Picnics for companies, fraternal organizations, veterans groups, Sunday schools, and family reunions brought people from as far away as Allentown. Entertainment was free too. At an outdoor stage, acts as varied as the Great Calvert, the world's greatest high wire and trapeze artist, and Alligator Jim, who apparently wrangled Everglades alligators, performed. Mademoiselle La Bella from Philadelphia probably ended her stuntwoman career at Island Park in 1910, when her act, somersaulting a car into a net, resulted in a broken leg. Vaudeville, minstrel shows, and movies at the casino were free, as were band concerts, one of which was played by John Philip Sousa and his band. Dancing in the large covered pavilion was also free, though a couple who dared to dance the scandalous Turkey Trot were banished from the floor in 1912. Thrill seekers with a bit of money in their pockets could ride the toboggan, a figure-8 roller coaster, and the Ferris wheel. More sedate riders could catch the breezes on a model of the Lehigh Valley Railroad's Black Diamond, or the famous Long Carousel, which eventually moved to Bushkill Park. Or visitors could just promenade in their Sunday best, seeing and being seen, trying their luck at the shooting gallery, enjoying an ice cream cone, and sipping a moxie or a cold drink from a spring. Of course, an island means water. Visitors could rent canoes or cruise the Lehigh on a small motor launch. There was also swimming in a wooden pool built in the river just upstream from the boat landing. But there are no photos of the pool or the visitors in their rented bathing suits. Perhaps early 20th century modesty prevented that. There were plenty of places just to sit and enjoy the scenery. And as the twilight gathered, many visitors picked up their souvenir photographs and boarded the trolley for home. But the shows, movies, and dancing continued into the night, thanks to electric lights the park had from the day it opened. Fireworks displays on holidays drew huge crowds. 12,000 people visited the park on the 4th of July in 1910. Some people simply retired for the night to their tents and little cabins in the park campgrounds, an open space at the western end of the island, which also saw a large National Guard encampment in 1915. Sadly, Island Park's very location led to its destruction. In the winter of 1917, and again in March 1919, river ice flows tore out both the causeway and the trolley trestle. Both were repaired in 1917, and the park had very successful seasons that year and the next. But though the Lehigh Coal and Navigation Company had to repair the causeway to keep its boats running, Easton Transit Company found that rebuilding the trolley trestle a second time was too expensive. Island Park never reopened. The rides and buildings were dismantled. The long merry-go-round was moved to Oakland Park in Bethlehem Township, and then to Easton's Bushkill Park in 1933. Canal boats continued to move along the island until the early 1930s. When navigation ended, the Change Bridge fell into disrepair, and the flooring and supports were removed in the 1950s. And Island Park went back to being accessible only by boat for the first time since 1857. In 1962, Lehigh Coal and Navigation Company began to sell off its property. Philanthropist Hugh Moore, who founded Dixie Cup, provided the city of Easton with 2/3 of the $45,000 price for 6 miles of river and canal front land from Hopesville in Bethlehem Township to the mouth of the Lehigh in Easton. The land, including Island Park, became Hugh Moore Park, 520 acres of land and water, including the fully restored Section 8 of the Lehigh Canal. Moore's vision was to provide regions of beauty and quiet for area residents, and a park that could mean as much to us as Fairmount Park does to Philadelphia. Moore's support of the park exceeded $400,000 in his lifetime, and his legacy continues through the Hugh Moore Trust. Though thousands of people visit the main part of the park every year, beauty and quiet still reign on Island Park.